Hello everyone and welcome to this Google Digital Garage training session, Writing for Social Media. My name's Kirsty. I'm a trainer for Google's free skills training program, Google Digital Garage, and I'm really looking forward to going through this session with you today. I'm really exploring how we can create interesting content for our social, for our organizations, our businesses, our brands, whatever it is you're here for today. But I'm not here alone. In the chat, you might have already said hello, but head over, say hello to Jo. You'll be able to talk and ask questions all the way through. Jo's there, ready and waiting to engage with you. She's also a Google Digital Garage coach, trainer, mentor, so is ready and I'm sure super excited to chat to you in there. While you head over to that YouTube chat, say hello, introduce yourself. Let us know where you're signing in from today, what it is that's brought you to this session. Are you a business owner? Are you working for an organization? Are you looking at getting started in digital marketing? Let us know what it is you're here for today, and I'll come back to the chat in a second. And we're going to run through a little bit of housekeeping while you do that. So first of all, if you do at any point have any trouble hearing or seeing this webinar, please try refreshing your browser. Hopefully that will fix any of the issues that you might have, whether it's connection, whether the video is not playing. Give it a refresh and hopefully that will help you out there. We also do have captions live. So if you hover over your YouTube video and you see the little CC captions button, click on that. When it's highlighted, you should be able to see captions coming through nice and clear for you there as well. We'll also be pausing throughout, so even though Jo is ready and waiting in the chat for any of your questions as we move through, I am also going to pause for questions throughout the session in order to either back up anything Jo said, or maybe there's some longer questions that can't be covered in 200 characters, I think it is, for each YouTube messages. Finally, just to let you know, this is not a standalone session. We are running this as a part of a huge offering from Google Digital Garage. So in the link, there's a link in the description of this video where you can have a look at the upcoming schedule and all of the other sessions that are due to happen, whether it's digital marketing content and webinars, or whether that might be something to do with building your own personal brand, or maybe having a look into things like your career goals. We also have webinars on those topics too. So that's the housekeeping. I can see a couple of people coming into the chat. Let me have a quick look. So we've got Daria there from the Bahamas, nice. We've got John from Philippines. We've got Ben from Germany, 17 and wanting to become a digital marketer or digital marketing advertiser and help brands with their social media. Welcome to you. We've got Nicholas building a news website with the intention to cover current affairs, much like a blog, but hoping to bring it into more of a professional level. Nice, Nicholas. Welcome to you. Brittany, hi all. Brittany, a social media and content executive located in the UK and working remotely for a curly hair care brand. Amazing. Welcome, Brittany. And a couple more people there saying hello. Keep introducing yourself. I'm sure Jo would love to read who's here, what's encouraged you to join this session today, and what is it you're looking to get out of this session. Thank you so much for all of those so far, but keep them coming. What are we going to cover today? How are we going to walk through this session? Well, first of all, I want to start thinking about brand, the brand tone of voice, what that actually means, because it's crucial. If we don't understand who we are as a business, how can we create content that talks to the target audience that we've got? So it's part of those building blocks for getting started on any social platform. Or I know a few of you have said there, someone mentioned starting a blog. The same, any type of content in terms of really connecting with an audience, we need to understand who we are as a business. What's our tone of voice? Who are we? What's our brand? What are we trying to achieve? Then we're going to move into the second section, which is my favorite section of this whole presentation, really starting to cover some of those key principles when it comes to improving our content writing on social media. It's a skill. It's something that we're going to have to work on in order to continue to get better at. But we've got some tips, and hopefully that'll help you get on board and start that improvement. And then finally, right at the end, step 3, we're going to leave you with some tips and some tools for your toolbox to really help you get started with your content creation and your content marketing. And it's good to have a couple in your back pocket that aren't going to break the bank. Before we jump into step 1, I do also want to highlight this amazing opportunity for free one-to-one mentoring from Google. So you can find people like Joe, myself, and other Google Digital Garage mentors ready and waiting to have a one-to-one session with you as a UK business, charity, sole trader, organisation in the UK. And we could talk about anything. We could talk about social media strategy and the content that we're talking about today. Or you might find, I think someone earlier said they're looking to do some work with digital marketing advertising. Amazing. There'll be someone that specializes in ads. Are you looking at social ads? Are you looking at Google ads? You can pick and choose what you want to talk about and hopefully be aligned with someone that's a little bit more specialist in that area. Take full advantage. The link is on the screen there, but I'm sure Joe will pop that in the chat for you. g.co/UK mentoring. Okay, let's get jumping in to defining our brand on social media. And I actually have a question for you first, and I'd like you to put this in the chat for us so we can see. When we're thinking about defining our brand on social media, what does that mean? What do we mean when we think about our tone of voice and the brand? What does that mean? What do I mean when I say, oh, your brand has to really have this tone of voice? And I'm sure a few of you are talking at the screen, things like, oh, how they behave, how they respond to situations. Think about what a brand is for your business. If your business was walking down the street, was a real human being, how would it talk? How is there any colloquial language that person would use? Does it have an accent? Does it have a certain swagger? It's really what we're starting to think about when it comes about brand. I can see we have a couple coming through there. Thanks, Joe. Mouthby Monk, our niche. Yeah, close. Nicholas, who is our user? Who do we need to reach out? That's definitely part of it. But focusing on our tone of voice. What is our brand's tone of voice? Brittany, conveying our personality. Yes, through brand guidelines and copy. Nice, Brittany. And Emma, how the company is presented to us. Belle, the personality of your brand. Nice. Loads of great responses coming through there. Absolutely. And moods and attitudes of specific content pieces there from Keisha. Yeah, absolutely. But there's one key word that a few of you mentioned. And the tone of voice really, really speaks to the personality of our brand or business. How does your brand or business or individual, if you're a sole trader and you're looking to create a brand as just you on socials, how do you speak? How do you present yourself? That tone of voice really starts to reflect not only how you want to communicate with an audience, but also a little bit about you as a brand. And it can start to help you be different, to stand out from the crowd, but also make a direct connection with the people that want to connect with your business or organization. So think about it, the tone of voice of your brand, the way your business speaks, if it was a person. So we can start thinking, and this is a really nice exercise for you to do, even after this. I've just seen Ema's post there. Just want to say thank you. Pronounce my name. People pronounce it incorrectly. No problem. You are welcome. So really, this is a really fantastic exercise that you can do at home when you're thinking about it. You might not get it now in an hour, but we're going to have a go in the chat. Come back to this as an exercise for yourself, with your team if you've got one. Think about a celebrity that potentially describes your brand. It doesn't mean that you're going to fully be that celebrity. But sometimes if we are understanding, who are we? How are we trying to connect with our audience? What are we trying to actually achieve here? Sometimes it's really great to draw inspiration from a real person that has a real brand that's already out there. And how can we adapt that to our mission and our vision for what we're doing? Couple of examples on the screen. James Corden there, personable, humble, funny. George Clooney, my favourite one to describe. I always use this one as an example. Think of the brands that George Clooney is connected to. Nespresso. Think of the Nespresso adverts on TV. George Clooney looking suave, in a nice suit, walking down, by the side of a nice pool in a really good-looking hotel. Is always very sophisticated. And that brand that Nespresso are trying to put out on their adverts very clearly matches the brand that George Clooney has as an individual. So try and do that for your own organisation. Can you think of a celebrity? It doesn't have to be any of the ones on the screen. But if you're here and you think, I haven't got a business yet, think of yourself. If you're trying to promote yourself on socials, what's your brand as an individual? And is there a celebrity that you can start to think, okay, that celebrity is someone that I'd aspire to have elements of this or elements of that? And tell us in the chat, because we love to hear it. And I can see Adam there, Adam Sandler. Did you just by accident go for someone with the same name as you? Funny, crazy, and temperamental. Oh, interesting. And yeah, I'll keep reading them as they come through. So feel free to share them to myself and Joe there in the chat. This can be the first step. Starting to think about your brand, starting to think about your tone of voice. It's really the starting part of those building blocks, but we're going to break these down into 4 key areas in a little bit more detail to help you out with this. So whatever celebrity came to your mind, write it down in front of you, write it in the chat, but we're going to come back to it in a bit. So we're going to see if that stands after the next 4 steps. When we're creating this tone of voice, it can take a while. It's not something, like I said, that we're going to have in the next hour and you're going to be like, yes, this is who I am. This is who I want to be. This is who it is. It's not necessarily going to happen like that for everyone. Some of you might be thinking about it like this and thinking, and a light bulb moment's happened. If it has, fantastic. Write it down so you don't forget. But we're going to break these 4 steps down that you can see on the screen. We're going to walk through them step by step. And then we're going to come back to the celebrities and see if you've still got the same person in your mind. And Brittany, Robin Williams, random I know, but kind, down to earth, funny. Let me just scroll across, with limits. Yes, I agree, Brittany. Robin Williams is a great one. I don't think random at all. Never apologise for your ideas. That's really cool. So let's walk through these 4 steps. Brand values, user pen portrait, how you speak, and choosing our words. Step 1. Brand values. Now, those 3 words that we had underneath those celebrities a second ago, that's what we're focusing on here with our brand values. Before we start thinking about our tone of voice and how that appears written down, we can start to bring that back to, okay, what do we care about? When we're not in the room, or our brand or a brand representative is not in the room, what words would they use to describe what we care about, to describe our values? What do we stand for? Do we care about customer service? Do we care about creating an atmosphere? Do we care about equality, unbiased reporting? What do we care about? Maybe it's something to do with the environment, depending on your business. So starting to think about your brand values can start to help you form your mission statement or your vision statement. What you do, why you do it, and what you stand for as an organisation. All the way through the rest of this session, I'm going to use 2 really great case study examples here. They're fictional, we've made them up, but it really starts to help us form our own ideas around this. So first one on the left, Nico's Pizzeria. making quality pizza with fresh ingredients, providing excellent customer service, fast and reliable home delivery or takeaway. So you can see those 3 elements there highlighted in yellow. Nico's Pizzeria, when it comes to brand values, what they care about is quality, customer service, and being fast and reliable. Now, you don't necessarily need to, fence yourself in and only choose 3 right now. What I would recommend is go, right, brand values, and just write a bullet pointed list, get as many out, everything that you care about as an organization. Go and have what I call a cup of tea break, come back and look at your list and think, okay, what are our priority? What's our top 3 priority brand values that we really stand for as an organization? The other one here, a little bit of a different business to give you a bit of a taster of a different type of business, Hathaway Legal. Dedicate to the highest level of diligence to each case. So they're diligent, really, really important for them. We believe that our clients deserve a quick response, but we only hire the top lawyers who have trained at prestigious institutions. You can see there from a completely different type of business to Nico's Pizzeria. They care, their brand values, what they want to be known for. Diligence, quick response, and top trained lawyers. So have a go at doing this for yourself on the notepad in front of you. If you do have anything you want to share, please do share it in the chat, because it allows me to make sure I'm keeping you all with me here as we go along these 4 steps together. But can you think of even one brand value, something that you and your brand really cares about? And can you highlight what that key word in that little sentence that you write for yourself is? And I see Nicholas, my website aims to have have unbiased reporting as its core value, reporting without political or financial biases. Amazing. So your key word in that sentence, or key couple of words, could be unbiased reporting. Great start. How many of those can you write for yourself in terms of what you really care about? So have a go at this. Again, we've got an hour together. It's not very long. So take note of and get yourself started. Leave a bit of room on that page, turn over, and come back to this after this session, because it's a really useful exercise. So the next step in our 4 steps, user pen portraits. Now you might be thinking, what's a user pen portrait? You've probably heard of target market, a buyer persona, or just a persona. It's all the same thing. That's what we call a user pen portrait. Who is your target audience? Can you create a real clear, vivid understanding of at least one person in your audience? Now, a common question I get when we think about this is, but I can cater for everyone. It's not just one person that my business can talk to, or that my content can talk to. No, and that's great. And it's great that you're in an environment that can connect with so many different people. But can you clearly start to separate out, okay, we cater for this person between these ages, living in this region, in this country, their interests are this, and this. Can you really describe the person you want to talk to on your socials? Content for everyone is content for no one. Think about what I mean by that. Creating content for everyone might mean that we then create content for no one. If we don't spend time thinking about our brand, our audience, how the two connect, how we can really be recognizable to the right people that are going to either purchase from us, that are going to comment on our socials, they're going to share, whatever it is we want them to do, then potentially the content we create is going to lack consistency. And if we create content that's just sort of for anyone that sees it, we're going to miss out on talking to those direct individuals that are following our pages. It's really interesting. And this is one of the most common things that whenever I'm mentoring and working with small to medium businesses, and I say to them, but who's your audience? I get that generic answer, 40-year-old men in London that wear suits to work. I think, okay, that's a lot of people. I need more. Are they married? Do they have kids? Do they have pets? What pets do they have? What's their interests? Do they cook at home or do they go out for food? And you can start to really dig deep and paint such a clear image of this target audience. And I can see here, Brittany, we care about healthy hair care and simplifying your hair care efforts. We provide one-to-one curl-specific advice to help our customers achieve their dream curls naturally. I think I definitely need this service. My hair is not curly at the moment, even though it used to be very, very nice. Matthew Monk, if my brand were hypothetically a hub for content creators, our objective to create engaging, fun and relatable content. Yeah, nice. And there's a few people actually doing this really, really well on social media, on TikTok, on Instagram. There's a few content creators that I follow that are doing such a good job in this arena. So definitely go and do your research and take inspiration from how you can translate that to your own brand. For me, one of the most important values of my business is the experience my product gives to the customer. If I provide good experience, they will return. Yeah, Karina, nice. Really, really cool. Love it. So start to think of big brands that you engage with. Adidas, Nike, anything that, it doesn't have to be a sporting brand, Disney, any brand that you regularly engage with or at least can see. You see them engaging with their audience and start to think about, okay, how did they specifically start to target and understand who's going to like what part of their website, their features, their services, whatever it is they are selling as a product or service. Back to our case studies, we've got Nico's Pizzeria on the left. Simon, young single professional in his late 20s, works full-time in advertising and lives in Brighton. Leads a very busy work and social life, has a big appetite for adventure, a keen athlete who enjoys playing football but also goes to his local bar with his mates to watch televised sporting events. And on the right-hand side, we've got the Hathaway Legal example there. Sally, early 30s, single, first time buying a new apartment in Leeds city centre, works for an insurance company, enjoys reading the newspaper and drinking a macchiato at her local nearby coffee shop, tech fanatic and enjoys getting the latest gadgets, graduated with a degree in history, a bit of a grammar nerd and appreciates quality. So these are just a couple of examples here of one specific type of audience that each of these businesses could target. But they could have more. You don't just have one audience member. You could create a set of these and start really understanding that broad audience, but start with maybe 2-3 personas that are this detailed. And the purpose of that, if we were Hathaway Legal, every single sentence of this description is usable when it comes to content. Okay, understanding Sally here, she's buying a new apartment in Leeds city centre. If I was creating blog content, I could then start thinking, okay, so people like Sally who are looking for new apartments in Leeds city centre, could I create blog content? The 5 top shared workspaces in Leeds city centre. She likes to go and get a macchiato. 5 top cafes in Leeds city centre. It doesn't have to be directly related to my Hathaway Legal business at this point, because I'm looking to create content that connects with my audience. But by understanding who my audience is, I can create content that's relevant and valuable to them. So start to break that down. Start to understand, okay, who are they? What age group do they sit in? Where do they live? Are they married? What type of job do they have? What's their earnings bracket? Are you working with a product or a service that needs people to be within a certain bracket of earnings in order to be able to afford what you're selling? Do they have any hobbies, interests, pets? Are they the decision maker? What talents or ambitions do they have? Are you tailoring something that's down more of a political line or a very clear value on a certain topic that's important to you? Start to really bubble down that essence of those people that you're trying to connect with and speak to. So we've got our brand values. We've started understanding our audience. And the next step is starting to think about how we speak. So think about those celebrities, and we had the 3 words. What 3 words would you choose to describe the personality of your business? And a couple of you wrote some in the chat earlier, but are they still the same now you're thinking about your brand values and the type of audience you want to connect with? Nico's Pizzeria, charm, authenticity, family. Hathaway Legal, powerful, efficient, experienced. Now, if you go back to those brand values in step 1 for both of these case studies, the words, Hathaway Legal's powerful, efficient, experienced, directly link to wanting to have the top lawyers experience, wanting them to never wait too long and have a fast response, efficient. The words are so powerful and they directly link to those brand values in step 1. So you can start to see how this ties together. These words paired with an inspirational brand, a celebrity brand that already exists, can start to help us find a natural patter, however that is, whether it's formal, whether it's a couple of you mentioned comedians, whether it is funny, whether it is a humorous personality. We can start to think about what that really means. And once we've gone through those steps, we don't want to have found our brand values, got our mission statements, understand who we're talking to, really know what words then describe our brand's personality, and then get onto social media. And I don't know if anyone's ever seen this, but we get on social media and you might have met a business owner or a representative and you thought, oh, they're a really cool person. Love the way they communicate, love the way they speak. And then you look at their content on social and you think, oh, is that the same person? And they just adopt this sort of robotic commentator voice, and it's so scary how often it happens. So we don't want to ruin that and not choose the right words, not choose the right way of greeting people. I can see Nicholas there. Unbiased, independent, freedom of speech. Nice, Nicholas. Really good descriptive words. And if anyone else wants to share the words that they would use, and tell me at this point, do you still have the same celebrity as you had in step 1? So who's your celebrity? And what are those 3 descriptive words you'd use for your business? So step 4, choosing our words. Back to our Nico's Pizzeria and our Hathaway Legal. Don't ruin it. Don't ruin the work that you've put in to really understanding who you are, what your goals are, and who you're talking to, by then just not exploring that when it comes to the written form of your personality. Look at the words you're using. So Nico's Pizzeria, fresh, ciao, welcome, appetizing. It's really, again, linking back into everything we've discussed already. Hathaway Legal, kind regards. Excellent. Thank you. Not using words like, cheers, pal. Look forward to hearing from you. Really understanding exactly who they want to talk to and bringing that consistently into their brand. Do we have any questions? And I can see a couple of comments, so I will go through those. So, Kania, powerful, joyful, and trendy. Like that. Love those words. What else do we have? And Nicholas, I've already read yours out there. Definitely bring them. If there's any more coming through. Nicholas, I've just seen Whoopi Goldberg. Nice. Yeah, I love Whoopi Goldberg. Really great. Unbiased, independent, freedom of speech. I think, yeah. Looking, there's an American chat show that Whoopi's on, isn't there? It's sort of like the American version of Loose Women, but she's very direct. Absolutely. Brittany, friendly, knowledgeable, eco-conscious, nice. Love that. Loads of good ones coming through. So let me know and let Jo know in the chat what are the descriptive words you'd use, and have you changed the celebrity that you initially thought about? Mouthy monk, witty, thought-provoking and impactful. Nice words. I'll keep coming back to them, but keep them coming. I love to see them. Which brings us to step 2. Starting to think about those guiding principles when it comes to actually writing. And I've got another quote for you. I would have written you a shorter letter, but I did not have the time. What do you think about that? I would have written you a shorter letter, but I did not have the time. So many times we just write, and it happens on social a lot. We write reams and reams and reams and reams, but we don't feel, with our fast-paced life that we live right now, we potentially don't let it sit. I call it the cup of tea break, but we don't let it sit. We don't sit with it, come back to it, and really start to understand whether it's the right length, whether it works, whether it needs adding to, whatever it is. And yeah, I can see there Keisha said, to be concise is harder than to babble on. Absolutely. So much harder to get to the point with the right tone, the right brand, the right personality, and connect with the right people. And it's even harder when we're working with a profile that potentially has some kind of character count. So take that cup of tea break. I'll drill that into you. If you don't like tea, take a water break. Go for a jog around the block or something. Just give it a rest. Give your brain a rest from it. Come back to it. Look at it with a set of fresh eyes. Is there anything that's actually unnecessary that you can remove? Love this. The average human attention span is now 8.25 seconds. Interesting. And actually, when someone's on social, this can go down to 3 seconds. So when we're thinking about content, it's getting harder and harder for us to capture the attention of that target audience. I always say we're competing against this. We're competing against the thumb. I mean, I could be scrolling. Someone could come in and say, oh, do you want a cup of tea, Kirst? And I'll be like, oh, yeah, I'm still scrolling. I've missed 2 or 3 posts. How are you going to grab that attention as soon as they read that first sentence? Oh, that piece of content's for me. I need that. That's what I need to read right now. Yeah, exactly, John. TikTok is so on it with that. So write for the goldfish. Now this is it's really funny. If you actually have a Google of this and have a search after the session, there's actually a lot of debate around writing for the goldfish when it comes to content marketing. It's really interesting to go read and have a look at the 2 different sides and understanding that. But what we mean by that is a goldfish's attention span is about 7 seconds. They're really not that far behind us. So when you're thinking about content and the titles for your content, how can you, and they know that thing that you've made and put time and effort into is for them. Remember that did anyone see what I just wrote on that slide, what I just skipped past? I'm wondering if anyone saw that. That's potentially the speed that your post is going to go past someone's face. Exactly what I've just done to you. Did anyone read the whole sentence? It'd be interesting to see if you did. So I said, assume the reader will only read the first half of your sentence. Brittany, I'm a goldfish. So assume your reader is only going to read. So if we look at this sentence, that top half, how can you start to use, and again, it comes down to choosing the right words, understanding who you're talking to, making sure you're getting the key topic words in the right places right at the beginning of that content. How can you really make sure that person is going to see the word that makes them go, ooh, and then make that decision to carry on reading what you've got to say? And that applies to videos, not just written content. Make sure if they're only going to watch the first 2 to 3 seconds, will they immediately go, that's for me, I need to watch the rest of this video? Will they be intrigued enough to stick on that page? One way we can do this, once we have, again, gone back to those steps that we talked about before the first question, pausing for questions section, once we understand who our user is and exactly what our goals are as an organization, we can start to focus on the user, and we can start to focus on their motivators rather than looking and their pain points. So sometimes you'll hear this rephrased as thinking about the features and the benefits over the physical features of the product. So when you're starting to think, okay, what does my audience want? What's their ambition? And what are the things they're struggling to come and find when it comes to our product or what we do? How can we focus on those benefits rather than the features? And I've got a really good example on the next slide for you. If you were selling a new gadget watch and your persona was someone like Sally from before the break, the features of this watch, it's waterproof to 5 meters. It's got 5mm thick glass. It comes in black, white, blue, or gold. And it's got a spherical interface. Okay, great. Fantastic. But actually, as an audience, if I want to know any of those things, I can always find them in the manual or in the extra descriptive bit, the product description. What I want to know as an audience, if I was Sally and I was looking for a new gadget watch, can I take it swimming? That's what I want to know. Is it smash resistant? Because I'm very clumsy. Or maybe I like activities outside and I just need something that's smash or scratch resistant. Can I choose a colour to suit my personality? Is it comfortable? Is it stylish? So yeah, the features are important, and you will get people that will say, oh, you know what? How do I know how far I can swim with it? Maybe I'm scuba diver and I go to 30 meters. I need to know how far my watch can go. You will get people that will look for features, but the way you are going to be able to make a connection as a business is to start thinking benefits. Write a list of your features. How do those features, those things, those unique selling points or key selling points that you have as a business or an organization, how do they directly benefit your target market? Some examples. The first one, coming back to I can see a couple of comments coming through. people and amoeba. I love it. So assuming that our audience are only reading the first part of our sentence, the first example in the red box, boost your CV with a free. Now, if I was the type of person that's what I was looking for. I needed to improve my CV. I'm looking for work. Would I maybe want to read the next half of that sentence? And you could tell us in the chat and I'll come back to those. So the red box, boost your CV with a free. If I was looking to boost my CV, might I read on? What about the one in the blue box? Get a free coffee roasting kit. Ooh. Now, if I knew the brand and there was a logo with this bit of writing and I'd already had their coffee, I might want to read on here. When you try 3 bags of our roasting coffee. Yeah, I can see Brittany's come in there. I want to know what was free. So the red box and the blue box, I think the red one is going to capture some people because of the keyword CV and then free. There's going to be some people that might, if they knew the brand, they were looking to do their CV, might click onto that. The second half of it, however, if I'm not looking to do a digital marketing course, it might then cause a lot of bounces, a lot of people going, click, oh no, that's not for me. I don't want to do a digital marketing course. The blue one, absolutely. Get a free coffee roasting kit. It's a full sentence. It makes sense. If I knew the brand, great. When you try 3 bags of our roasting coffee, if I already buy it, I might be inclined to go, yeah, why not? But it's got to give me a choice to read on. That middle one, the green one, get product and engineering on the same page. Product roadmap software. I'm sure all of you in this session today have used some kind of maps, Apple Maps, Google Maps, Waze, or some kind of sat nav to get somewhere. That's what we're advertising here. Get product and engineering on the same page. Product roadmap software. Maybe missing the point there. So really think about that. If your audience are only going to read that first half of your sentence, has it got, jargon, that good word there just popping up? Is it too much jargon? Does it make sense? Does it invite your reader to want to read on? Are you using clear and simple language versus that overly complicated language, flowery language, too many things in that sentence? On the left, clear and simple, reader friendly. Maybe your brand has a really clear accent. And maybe they have a real distinct way of speaking. Maybe they're from the north of England. I will not do a northern accent for you, but maybe they have certain colloquialisms that are associated with where they're from that really speaks to your local audience. Fantastic, use that. How can you represent that in a written form? Is there a certain phrase? Is it structured? Are the sentences uncomplicated? Using words that they're going to get and they're going to come across. Rather than using that complicated language, any technical terms, internal language, jargon, acronyms. Acronyms are my worst. I mean, digital marketing is full of acronyms. I don't know, Joe, if you're the same with the tech side of stuff as well. But I'm the worst. Whenever I go into a meeting and I know people are going to talk about acronyms, I have to actually write them down so I remember what they are, because I'm still terrible with them. Flowery language, unnecessary words. So again, that whole thing about writing a shorter letter if we had more time. Now, just a word on the technical terms. You might be in a industry where the people you're selling to, if you're selling business to business, they also use that language. So again, don't just forget about the work we did earlier in this session, thinking about our audience. Because if we know they're already in this arena that we're operating in, they already use a certain amount of words, they know what a certain amount of things stand for and are, then that is okay, because you're speaking to someone directly that understands your organization. So come right back to understand, who am I talking to? what language is going to be right for them, and am I assuming here that people know what I mean just because we do as a team? Or do I need to come back and make sure this makes sense to anyone that's not within the organisation? How can you cut your copy but keep the same meaning? So starting to think about how we cut this down. Again, I live by that kind of cup of tea break, the kettle boil break. If you can take your face, your eyes away from what you've written and come back to it and start to work through what you've written really objectively, starting to think, okay, how can I cut out words that don't mean anything? How can I rephrase things so the sentences are simpler and they flow easier, but keep the same meaning of that sentence? And I truly do believe the only way we can really do that is to get into a routine where we can write something and we have something else to work on, and we can come back to that maybe a day later, a couple of days later, when it's not so fresh in our minds. Trying to create that routine for yourself with content so that you can, before it is, you're not just creating something and it's going out that day or the next day. You're creating something, but you're giving yourself that flexibility and time to be able to come back and give it a read and cut down anything that you don't need. Handling customer complaints. Now we have got about just over 10 minutes left together. I've got one more pausing for questions, so I will come to that at the end. But I want to finish today's session before I give you some tools, thinking about complaints on social media. Now, I'm sure a few of you, either yourself or have had friends that have used things like Twitter to send grievances to businesses that you need help from because there's something that isn't there. And it's really, really about thinking about being polite, professional, responding without accepting responsibility yet is really, really important. But there's one thing that's really, before it comes to this first step that I've got here, when it comes to passive language, there's a step before this that we should always have in the back of our minds. And that step is to get it offline. I was reading, I think it was a restaurant, I'm not too sure. I think it was a review for a restaurant. It's my dad's birthday and I was looking to book somewhere. And there'd been a complaint put in about this restaurant. And the owner directly replied online, telling that customer how wrong they were about everything they'd written. And I thought it was really interesting because you can never win as a business when we do that. There is always a keyboard warrior somewhere ready and waiting to come right back at you as the business or the person handling that kind of public presence. So yes, we want to avoid passive language. We want to make sure they know. We want to fix the problem. We're acknowledging that there is a problem and there's something that we need to fix, but not saying anything we don't mean, not promising things that we're not going to follow up with. Remember that being jokey has a time and a place, especially if it's something commercial. Think about, how's this going to come across to the audience we're trying to really communicate with here? Is that tongue-in-cheek humor part of your brand? I mean, there's great brands like Brewdog. They had a bunch of complaints when they originally opened up a few of their pubs around the UK. They had a few complaints come through on Twitter about service. So they, as part of their very clear personality, they are a bit rock and roll. They had new t-shirts printed for all the staff in their bars. And on the back of these t-shirts, so when the staff turned round to use the till and the back of the staff was facing the customers at the bar, they had printed the Twitter reviews or Twitter comments that were negative with the handle of the person that had complained on Twitter. Now, that works for a brand like Brewdog. really works because it's part of who they are, and they've been that since day dot. Bit rock and roll, this is who we are, like it or lump it. But if you were, I don't know, well, let's go to Hathaway Legal, our case study earlier. If you were a firm like Hathaway Legal, if that was a real business, potentially that approach might not work for the audience that you're trying to attract. So come right back to your audience, your brand values, your personality, the words that you're using, and really start to think about that. Okay, what's going to work handling this situation? Another really good example, actually, and a brand that I love, I follow them on everything because I just think they're amazing, is Aldi. If you don't follow Aldi on Twitter, Instagram, wherever they've got a profile, go and do it today. Last year, a good example was with Marks and Spencer's, Cuthbert the Caterpillar. Marks and Spencer's very serious, Aldi have copied Colin's face and we're going to sue them. We've opened this big complaint and legal operation. Meanwhile, Aldi sticking very true to their online personality, putting pictures of Cuthbert behind bars on their Twitter feed, and sort of just really playing the Joker. And it is their brand. It is what they do very, very well. Meanwhile, also re-releasing a limited edition Cuthbert while the proceedings were going on and donating every single proceed of that limited edition Cuthbert re-release to various charities in the UK. Very, very clever. So again, a brand, go and follow them. What works for you? Sign off very clearly with a name. We use social media because it's a two-way conversation. So can you sign off with a bit of a person, even if it's an alias? There's a few businesses I work with where it's an alias, and that alias deals with all complaints or all customer queries that come through, whether it's negative or positive, so that the people really feel like they've got a direct connection to that business. Bit of a quick example. So if we were going to receive any kind of negativity, this potentially could be something that we would see on something like Facebook. Look, I ordered a mobile from your company last week, but when it arrived, it was badly damaged. When I called to complain, I was rudely told you don't accept returns and I need to contact the delivery company for compensation. Is this really how you treat loyal customers? I will never buy from you again. Hopeless. Again, we've probably all seen something like this written as a review or a comment on any kind of page. A bit of an example reply. Hello, and then the customer's name, whoever had written this negative review. Our sincere apologies for the inconvenience caused and the poor customer service you received. It fell below our usually high standards. We value your patronage and we will launch a full investigation into why our team provided you with misinformation and didn't treat you with the full respect that you deserve. Please contact me on my direct email and we can organise a full compensation for the replacement for you. Hannah. Tell me what you think about that. Now, I would be saying, don't offer anything free, ever, publicly, straight away. But do give them a way to contact you directly. Again, remember that first thing. How do we get this offline? And actually, 9 times out of 10, when you provide a direct number or a direct email to that alias person that you can pick up as they come through, people actually don't go as far to get directly in contact. They would just trying their luck to see if they could get something free on Twitter. So, can I see? So I've got one question there, Nicholas. There's a lot of hype around C2B right now, as in client to business. Any idea what this is? Customer to business. I don't know if Joanne's given you any links there, Nicholas. I haven't been keeping up with the chat. It's not something that I am specializing in, so I don't want to give you any wrong information. But I would say some of the best places to go and do a bit of research, have a look at some of the industry kind of specialist blogs. So people like Neil Patel will definitely have something around that. SEMrush have a great blog. But go to some credible sources and see. Search Engine Land is quite a good one. Have a look at and see from credible sources if they can sort of help you answer that question. And I'm sorry I can't give you more on that. The only thing I can think of is that it might be to do with some of Porter's 5 forces. So maybe have a look into that as well, because the power of the customer is something that's been prevalent in marketing for a while. Now we have about 5 minutes left, and I want to leave you with some nice things that you can use, some tools that you can use if you've never heard of them before, and add them to your toolbox. The first one is Grammarly. Have you used Grammarly? Are you using Grammarly? If not, and you use a Chrome browser, it's a free Chrome extension. It not only checks your spelling, but it also checks the grammatical sentence or sense of your sentence or whatever you type within that browser. So have a look at Grammarly as a first tool for you. Next, start thinking about your photographs. Can you do, and there's loads of great videos on YouTube about taking great photographs with a mobile device. Do your research on how to achieve that, how to use the grid lines, how to take an engaging photo or video. Then have a look at any apps that you can use for editing. There's things like VSCO, VSCO, VSCO-Cam. There's things like Snapseed. There's InShot for videos. How can you start to edit those images, videos with such consistency that they're part of your brand as well? Can you use any templates? Can you create yourself a template so that, again, you're building consistency with those visuals? Or do you want to try some graphic designing? Again, there's a great tool called Canva that you can use completely for free to really start creating these templated visuals for your audience to give it a real consistency. There's also a couple of other tools that you can use. If you are in the App Store and you type in any of the ones that we've mentioned today, whether that's Grammarly, VSCO, Snapseed, InShot, always look at the suggested, because there's a lot of really great free tools out there. And I would just recommend try the ones that come up. If they're a free trial, try it. Then move on to the next one. See what works for you. Get yourself a smartphone. If you've got a smartphone, get yourself a selfie stick. Really, really, really good tool to have. I know it's laughable, but you could get a selfie stick, or you could get a one that's sort of like a mini tripod as well. That can help you start creating something consistent. Now we really are running out of time. Do we have any final questions? Let me have a look. I can't see any in my moderation document at the moment, but I will wrap up and then, hang on. Mouthy Monk. As a content creator, the most difficult part is distributing my content as effectively as possible. Any tips or advice? Okay, it depends on how many platforms you're using. Very, very quickly, you could use a management, something like Hootsuite, something like Buffer. Or if you're using Facebook and Instagram, you can use the Facebook Business Suite to schedule stuff. There's a really nice one for Instagram called Planoly. Canva also has a scheduler now if you're paying for the premium version. So there's loads of ways of starting to distribute your content. But what I would say is come back to the drawing board and make sure, Later is a really good one actually as well. But make sure you're not on. You don't need to be on every single platform. And sometimes that's why we're struggling, because we've not come back to that drawing board and understood exactly who and where they are. And that they're not always everywhere. So with that, in terms of your next steps, if that's something that you're thinking about, we have a great session called Social Media Strategy in the schedule. So if you haven't gone to that one and you've come to Writing for Social Media today, do go and book on for Social Media Strategy. The link is in the description of this video, just below me or to the side of me, but I'm sure Joe will pop that in the chat for you. Lots to take away from our session today. Make sure you come back to those activities. I am unfortunately out of time, so I hope that you've taken so much away from today and really can go ahead and really crack on and getting to know your brand and what you want to bring to your audience. Remember, if you are based in the UK, you can book on for a free one-to-one mentoring with someone like myself or Joe. We can sit for an hour. We can really start to go into a little bit more detail on some of the topics that we have discussed throughout today's session. And if you do have any feedback for us, we love to hear it. We've got a link there, goo.gul/digital garage feedback. And if you do want to talk about anything you've learned today or anything you're doing with Google Digital Garage, please use our hashtag Digital Garage there as well. But other than that, thank you for joining. Thanks for all of your interactions. It's been great, and I look forward to welcoming you to many more Google Digital Garage training sessions in the future. Bye.